All right, let's dive into something that we all do every single day. Talk about what other people have said. Now, it sounds simple, right? But how you choose to do it can totally change the vibe of your story. So let's get into it.
You know that game, right? Where one person whispers a secret and by the time it gets to the end of the line, it's something completely ridiculous? Well, retelling a conversation can sometimes feel exactly like that. The way you share what someone said can either be a perfect copy or it can twist the meaning, even just a little bit.
Just look at this. One person says, "I am busy now." You could quote them word for word. Or later on, you might say, "He said that he was busy then." See that? The core idea is the same, but the feeling, the perspective, it's shifted. That tiny little change is what this is all about.
So really, you've got two main moves in your playbook here. You can quote someone directly, or you can report on what they said. I like to think of it as a choice. Are you going to be a screenshot, or are you going to be a summary? Let's break that down. First up is direct speech. This is your verbal screenshot. You're capturing the moment exactly as it happened, the exact words, the tone, all of it, and you're preserving it inside quotation marks. It's raw, it's authentic, and it puts your listener right there in the room.
On the flip side, you've got indirect speech. This is the summary. Here, you're playing the role of a reporter. You're boiling it all down to the most important info. You're not focused on the exact words, you're just getting the main point across, so your story keeps flowing smoothly. It's clean, it's efficient, and it gets the job done.
Okay, so how do you actually switch between being a screenshot and being a summary? Well, it's not as complicated as it sounds. You don't have to memorize a million rules, I promise. It really just comes down to 3 key transformations. Once you get these, you'll be able to switch between the two styles like a pro. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to shift the perspective by changing up the pronouns and the verb tenses. Second, we'll tweak the context, all those little words about time and place. And finally, we'll level up our reporting verbs to handle tricky things like questions and commands. Ready? Let's do it.
All right, transformation number 1 is all about shifting your perspective. When you report what someone said, you're not in that moment anymore. You're looking back on it, so your language has to reflect that. That means the pronouns and the verbs have to change to match your new point of view.
Let's look at the most common changes. The original speaker's I becomes a he or she in your story, and the tense usually takes one step back into the past. So am or is becomes was, have becomes had. It's a logical step back in time to show that the speaking already happened.
Here's a perfect example of that in action. Someone says, "I am unwell." When we report it, we're talking about him, so I naturally becomes he. And because he said it in the past, am gets bumped back to was. He said that he was unwell. See? Simple, logical. That's our first big step.
Okay, next up, let's talk about the context warp. This is all about the setting. When you first heard the statement, there was a specific here and now. When you retell it, that here and now becomes a there and then.
And honestly, this is stuff you probably already do without thinking. Words like now shift to then. Here becomes there. If someone mentions tomorrow when you report it, you'd probably say the next day. It's all about updating the coordinates of the conversation to the past.
For instance, if someone says, "I am glad to be here this evening," you can't report it that way tomorrow from a different location. It wouldn't make sense, so you adjust. You'd say, "He said he was glad to be there that evening." You're just recalibrating the time and place to match your retelling.
And for our final transformation, we're tackling the special cases, questions and commands. With these, you can't just report that someone said it. You got to be a little more specific with your verbs and change the structure just a bit.
The key move here is to upgrade that boring old verb said. Swap it out for something with more flavor. If it's a question, you can use asked or inquired. If it's a command, maybe ordered or told. This one little word instantly tells your listener what kind of statement they're hearing about.
Check out how a question changes. The direct question, "Where do you live?" gets sort of flattened into a statement when you report it. The stranger inquired where I lived. The verb gets an upgrade, and poof, the question mark is gone. We don't need it anymore because it's not a direct question.
And it's pretty much the same deal for commands. The direct order, "go away," gets neatly packaged into this little phrase, "to go away." So instead of the bland Rama said, we get the much more powerful Rama ordered Arjun to go away. It's just cleaner and carries way more meaning.
So now you know the mechanics of how to switch between these two styles. But the real art, the real skill, is knowing when to use each one. This isn't just about grammar. This is about becoming a better storyteller.
So think of it like this. You're going to use direct speech, the screenshot, when you need that punch of drama and emotion, or when you want to show off someone's unique personality, or if you need to provide exact evidence. Then you switch to indirect speech, the summary, when you just need to get through a long conversation quickly, keep your story flowing, or report the facts without any fuss.
And this really nails it, doesn't it? The goal isn't to pick a side and stick with it. The best communicators know how to blend them together. You use the direct quote for that pop of personality, and you use the indirect summary to keep things clear and moving forward. It's a dance between showing and telling. So, the next time you're telling a story, think about it. Are you just going to be a reporter, giving the raw, unfiltered quotes? Or are you going to be an interpreter, weaving the information smoothly into your narrative? Knowing how and when to make that call? Well, that's what makes all the difference.